For many years, Elections Canada has been enforcing the Elections Act. It looks like this bill will end that. Can you tell us why? Does it have anything to do with the fact that Elections Canada has been investigating and prosecuting the governing Conservatives?
The Fair Elections Act will give the Commissioner of Canada Elections, the investigator, a free hand by making him absolutely independent. Independent from the elected government, independent from Elections Canada. The referee should not be wearing a team jersey. Independence is governance 101. It is normal to separate administration from investigations. And that's what the Fair Elections Act will do.
Can you clarify who appoints the commissioner then?
The Director of Public Prosecutions. But let me be clear, no one will be appointed for another 5.5 years because the existing commissioner, who is selected by the CEO of Elections Canada, will be invited to stay on in his existing position and complete what's left of a 7-year term.
Not be wearing a team jersey. Are you saying that Elections Canada is a team and that team is opposed to your party?
Elections Canada is a regulated entity under the Act. There are offences in the Act which apply to the conduct of Elections Canada officials. And so at the end of the day, if we're going to have proper oversight, Elections Canada cannot oversee itself. Independence is a basic feature of Governance 101, and we are instilling it by making the Commissioner of Canada Elections fully independent with a free hand.
Going to be supervising or having any role in this. The DPP doesn't investigate doesn't have any role with investigative agency. It's a prosecutor. Isn't this odd? Like, what's your thinking behind this? Why the DPP?
Well, two more questions. A couple of points. One, prior to 2006, the functions of investigation and prosecution under the Canada Elections Act were not only housed in the same office, they were housed in the same person. The Commissioner was responsible for both. So it is not unprecedented in any way, shape, or form for them to be in the same office. That being said, we are creating new legal protections to separate the work of the Commissioner from the work of the Director of Public Prosecutions. And so the DPP will not be able to interfere in any way, shape, or form in the investigations. Those will be done by the Commissioner, after which the latter will recommend charges to the DPP, who will have the final decision in laying them.
As a follow-up, under the law as it stands now,
yes,
the DPP is not entitled to inform the Attorney General about any matters having to do with enforcement of
Section 2 of the DPP Act, you're right.
Is that going to continue under this, or is it going to be allowed for the DPP to inform the AG about these matters?
Absolutely. There is absolutely no change to that provision. Let me make that clear. Section 2 of the Director of Public Prosecutions Act makes it illegal for the Attorney General to be in any way, shape, or form involved in the prosecutions related to the Canada Elections Act. That provision is absolutely unchanged in this bill.
Not have worked for Elections Canada?
Sorry.
The Commissioner cannot have worked for Elections Canada, and if so, is that not like saying you want a judge who can't have been a lawyer?
The role of the Elections Canada will be to run elections and to do so in accordance with the law. The role of political parties will be to run their campaigns, also in accordance with the law. The Commissioner has to investigate whether that has occurred, and therefore he cannot have been part of one of the entities that he may end up investigating under existing offences that exist in the Canada Elections Act. So I think it is only fair to suggest that none of those entities should be the origin of future commissioners of Canada elections. And I should add to that as well that the existing commissioner will be an exception to that. He will be grandfathered into the role and continue what's left of a 7-year term, probably about 5.5 years. They have different roles. The job of Elections Canada is to administer elections. The job of the commissioner is to investigate potential breaches of the Act.
Why have you decided the Chief Electoral Officer should no longer have the power to order and oversee the prosecution of alleged violations of the Elections Act?
Well, the Chief Electoral Officer's principal responsibility is to administer elections. The Commissioner is supposed to be responsible for investigating breaches under the law. He's the watchdog of the Canada Elections Act. I believe he should be independent. I've said that he should have not only sharper teeth and a longer reach, but also a freer hand. Freer hand means independence.
Right. Well,
Now,
what makes you think he's not independent now?
Well, right now his staff is legally controlled by someone else. He doesn't control his own budget. He can be fired at any time, and someone else directs his investigations. The Fair Elections Act would reverse all of those features and make the commissioner independently in control of his investigations, his staff, and he would have a fixed term so that he cannot be fired without cause.
Okay, you said today that the referee, meaning the chief electoral officer, Marc Méran, should not be wearing a team jersey. What are you saying about the actions of Mr. Méran?
Well, actually, I was referring to the commissioner, and by that I meant that you need to have a completely independent watchdog in charge of law enforcement. In other words, he can't be dependent on one person or another for his decisions. And the Fair Elections Act will give him that independence.
Oh, okay. I think a lot of us believe that you were referring to Mr. Méran and the suggestion that he's been wearing a team jersey for some team other than the Conservatives all along here. That's not what you meant.
Again, I was referring to the commissioner, and we're going to make him independent, give him a free hand under the Fair Elections Act.
Do you think Mr. Méran has been biased against the Conservatives?
Well, I think that Mr. Méran has the difficult job of running elections, and that is something on which the Fair Elections will allow him to focus more exclusively, and at the same time we'll have a separation between administration and oversight, which is sort of governance 101. That will help Mr. Méran focus on the job that is core to his responsibility.
Right, but I mean, I'm assuming there's a reason why you felt this division of duties was necessary, and you've been critical of Mr. Méran's action in the past, so my question again, do you think he's been biased against the Conservatives?
I think that law enforcement should always be independent, so that is not a personal matter regarding any one individual. It just deals with the necessity to allow a free hand for any watchdog that enforces the law.
Okay, and you believe he's been doing that even-handedly?
Well, the challenge with the status quo is that the commissioner is not independent. So the CEO can legally control the budget, staff, the term in office. He chooses the commissioner and can remove him at any time and directs his investigations under the existing act. That's not independence. The Fair Elections Act will provide independence.
All right, what I'm asking is, are you happy with the way he's directed investigations in that office so far?
Well, I don't think he has to make me happy. The reality is that he should be independent from me and from the government, as well as from Elections Canada. And that's what the Fair Elections Act will provide.
Okay, one final question on this. When you said you consulted with Marc Méran about these changes, he says he wasn't consulted. Who do we believe here?
We had a terrific meeting in late August in my office where he spent about an hour telling me his proposed changes to the Canada Elections Act. He spoke until he had nothing more to say, and I told him that if he thought of anything else, he should give me a call. In addition to that, I thoroughly studied his reports and his testimony before the local parliamentary committee here in this building, and 38 of his recommendations are implemented in the Fair Elections Act.
I see that. Why would you not have contacted him a few weeks ago when you had a plan in place to tell him, look, you are the chief electoral officer, your role is about to change, here's how the changes are going to happen?
Well, of course, the change won't happen until the bill is adopted, so there's plenty of time for him to adjust to those changes. And I'm also reminded that we live in a parliamentary democracy, and it's democratically elected parliamentarians who make laws.
Oh.